Let's go to our next speaker, and it's my incredible honor to introduce someone who has really shaped the landscape of MDMA Assisted Therapy, Dr. Michael Mithoefer. Woo! So he, along with his wife Annie, pioneered the work that helped bring MDMA Assisted Therapy for PTSD to where we are today. He literally wrote the manual. So he wrote the manual for the MDMA protocols, which provide sensitive and effective guidance for therapists, helping their patients navigate this world. I'm going to say a little bit more about you, so. Just a little bit. So he's a physician and a longtime psychedelic researcher, and that included serving as medical monitor for MAP-sponsored clinical trials in Europe, in the Middle East, in Canada, and in the United States. And he has worked closely with Rick Doblin and MAPS and the FDA and Lykos Therapeutics to ensure that these therapies are safe and effective. And he was a mentor of the lovely doctor, and is a mentor of the Dr. Lovely Raymond Turpin. And he's really a big reason. He's been laid such a foundation for the Pearl. And so we're all so incredibly grateful for what you have done. And it's an honor to bring you to the stage. Big warm welcome.
Thanks, Jackie. Thank you, Jackie. I think Raymond and I are mentors for each other by now. Yeah, what an amazing thing. It's so great to be here in this community, as Annie said. And what you've done, Raymond and Kim and all of you at Pearl, is remarkable. You know, we know all the sites studying MDMA everywhere in the world, and this is the only one that's treating people in rural areas. It's the only one. It's really important. So it's really an honor to have a chance to talk to you. And of course, everything that Jackie mentioned, I've done with Annie. We've done this together, so I want everybody to remember that, please. I can look pretty good if I've got her support. So, you know, it's. I'm just thinking about. Obviously, we're all pretty bummed. I'm angry and sad to think of all the people waiting for treatment that are going to have to wait longer because of the FDA. But as Raymond and Dave has said, this is, you know, this is not, these were very, very successful clinical trials. There was not a problem with the research. It was not a situation where we arrived at FDA with insufficient evidence or insufficient safety. That is not what happened. It was a political hit job, and it was amazingly effective. So let's get over the idea, sure, we didn't do everything perfectly, but this whole idea that it was a cult or somehow it was sloppy or we somehow enlisted academics from all over the world at major institutions into being part of the cult. I guess you're part of it, Dave. So, you know, I want to be clear about that. We are going to get past this. It's tragic in a way, but patience, as you've said, is important. I mean, we heard from Rick. He started on this in '85. We didn't start on this until 2000. Is that right? Yeah. Anyway, so thinking, you know, I had in mind that this was going to be a really fun time when Raymond and everybody's starting to treat people and MDMA is going to be legal. It didn't happen that way. But as Dave has said, this is a long arc. So it's helped me. In some way, it's been weird because, you know, in the last 10 years, we've had pretty favorable press and reactions from the public and the politicians because we've just been doing the research. And now, suddenly, that is all flipped. It feels a lot like the first 10 years when it was completely like this, you know, one obstacle after another, lies, misunderstandings, prejudice, fear about the drug war, and fear about expanding consciousness. That's what a lot of it is about. You know, so there was all that fear. We kept, you know, just to give you an idea of some of the arc, you know, surprisingly, we got permission in 2001 from FDA for the first study. That was surprisingly fast. Then it took 2.5 years to get FDA approval with DEA. Yeah, thanks. So yeah, to get DEA approval and IRB approval, we had a whole thing with that too, where there was a paper from Hopkins saying that MDMA causes dopamine toxicity, and it turns out they gave him methamphetamine instead of MDMA, a legal drug. So we had that kind of thing went on. I had to, before we could get DEA approval, I had to finally write to the senator, the last Democratic senator from South Carolina, to get some action out of DEA after 2.5 years. So that happened. We got permission to do it at the university, at the research center. Then after 6 months, the university was allergic to us. So we had to go back. We thought we're dead in the water. They're never going to let us do it in the office. It took even longer to get permission to then do it in the office. So we did that. So one thing after another. I can't tell you how many calls I get from Rick. All of a sudden, in the middle of the night, shit, something's happened. We're screwed. What are we going to do next? And we just did the next thing next. So it feels very familiar. And because, we've said all along, we got a lot of political interference with science in the beginning. Then it settled down, because how can you object to research that's publishing in journals and showing results? But then, not too long ago, it became clear, this is going to happen. It's going to really threaten the pharma industry. It's going to threaten all the people in academia who didn't think of this and who resisted it, and it's somebody else's idea, and now they're going to, it's like, as Raymond said, I think, this calls for a complete overhaul of the mental health system. When you see what actually happens for people, what we just heard happens for people, and they don't like that. They do not like that. So this is what we're up against. We're up against the fear, the financial interests, the political interests, and as Dave said, we got to be patient. It was a lot more fun back in the day when I just fill out a form 2022, send it to Dave. He'd mail some MDMA from FedEx. One time, I don't think I told you this, that was perfectly legal. I don't think I ever told you this, Dave. One time you sent the FedEx, it required a signature, and we got to the office, it's like on the front step. It's just lying there. So those were simpler times. It's not so simple now. But it's going to happen, and it's going to happen because of all of you. We're old. We may not, who knows how long we'll be here, but there are so many skilled, trained, committed, heartful people coming along that are not going to let this go. It is going to happen. So thank you for picking up the ball and making it happen.
Thank you for watching, and please remember to like this video and to subscribe to our channel.